Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is January 17, 2021. Howard.
Maiden. What's up? Are you sitting shiva for
wearing shorts right now or long pants?
Did somebody?
We have to do a PG.
You know, if you make Ivan laugh, people call me out of that fucking Ivan, you can't get a rise out of him. Look what I did there. I got a rise out of you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, that's too much. Okay. All right.
What's going on? You got your Apple Watch there, kid?
No, it's a Fitbit. It's not an Apple Watch.
Oh, it's a Fitbit. All right. Were they on sale?
Fitbit. I don't know.
They're on sale. They don't even make them anymore.
Google.
Did you get that at a garage sale off a corpse? Because they don't even make them anymore.
I got it wrong.
Okay.
Okay, let me share my screen.
You do that.
All right, so last week, definitely we saw a bunch of market sector rotations. Economy stocks were super strong again, and they were kind of setting up after the big rally after the elections. They kind of consolidated. And then last week, they just erupted again. So many of them are just, I mean, if you look at them on a longer time frame, they built some huge bases. Obviously, these are all Canadian companies here, the ATB, the CGC, the Tilray, and the more interesting ones are under that MSOS ETF.
Todd, who I've had on my show many times, has been pounding the table on and they've had a good run. So I don't know, but the US.
Obviously, don't chase. Just wait for either a pullback to the 20-day, the 50-day, or some tight range contraction before you get engaged for a swing. But other than that, definitely a leading sector after the elections. Obviously, clean tech, the other leading sector, it's been running even before the elections, accelerated after the elections. Now it's kind of due for a pullback. Which is normal. I mean, nothing goes straight up all the time. Even Tesla is kind of seems to be losing momentum a little bit. So maybe it will consolidate here.
Right. That stock. The big short guy is now like coming out short that thing. Everybody's had their bet. What's his name covered? The guy who Chanos has been short forever. He congratulated Elon Musk for separating him and his money.
I don't know how they're still in business because they've been short Tesla for so long.
Just to be that
hedging with calls. Short the stock and just buy calls to hedge.
People just like to stand in front of a freight train. Like, I mean, that stock could pull back 60% and be in an uptrend.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
I mean, it's been insane.
I remember buying it in March and flipping it in May, and thinking I was a genius. My daughter shouldn't even talk to me at this point. Anyways, look at Tesla. So anyway, I think what we're seeing here in Tesla is a poster child for this, and it's in the S&Ps, so who knows? But there is some serious. The biggest news I thought was the speculation going on, not so much in SPACs because it's very institutional. Even though people say it's retail, it's very institutional in terms of how much money is being raised. But the penny stocks, Reddit had to change their rules this weekend. So, that's kind of like Twitter kicking off Trump for Reddit to just say, oh my God, I can't take the pumping that's going on the Reddit stream. Now in StockTwits, we've always avoided having penny stocks, as you know, so we don't have to deal with these kind of we deal with crazy people and we deal with a huge increase in traffic, but because we've never listed penny stocks, but the speculation, Ivan, is crazy. I'm going to, it's hard for me to to show that. Is there some, other than in Tesla, do you see some of the speculation yourself? Are there any tickers that just make you shake your head?
Anything in electric vehicles. I mean, Probably every third Chinese company is making their own electric vehicle. So,
I mean, I can't, I'm having fun, like listening to people become experts. But you know, it just seems a little bit far-fetched. At the same time, I'm going to share one chart. Let me just share my screen. Let me just share my screen.
Go ahead. Are you sharing?
Yeah, I just wanted to pull up. Can you see this value? Can you see this one?
Let me stop sharing so you can share. All right. Yes, we're seeing it.
So you can just see this like change in the mega cap, like in the value in the small caps. The small caps and the value stocks are kind of changing trend. This does not happen kind of overnight when they're in
financials and energy have been on the run ever since the election.
Correct. So I'm going to take that off. So I'm going to take that off and you start. So financials, I haven't pulled those up. Like you see, and I'm talking about Goldman Sachs. Which ones are you talking about?
Not since the election, but since the first vaccine was announced, which was like November 8th, 9th. So, I mean, any of them, all the small regional banks, the big banks, all of them have been like a big leader after that big gap here, after that vaccine was announced. So since then, financials, energy, department stores. I mean, if you look at Macy's is just having their best days. Look at after this.
Yeah, it's almost tripled.
Wow. It has doubled since that vaccine gap. So definitely the vaccine changed the dynamics in the market. And since then, we've seen some of the mega caps like Amazon, Netflix, Google just going kind of sideways.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think much like TikTok, I'm trying to like think this through because, you know, for a decade, this has been underperforming. And granted, forget Macy's. Let's pull up like GameStop. Let's pull up like a good example here.
Yeah. Because shorted.
It's super short, new board, the guy from Chewy's. But what's interesting is there's enough new, I call them moguls. You know, TikTok has, you know, all these kids and are called media mogul, like these young media moguls. Well, now there's these new, and you see it in SPACs with Chamath. You see it now in some of these turnarounds in small caps, where you know a newly minted centimillionaire or billionaire pulls himself out of Chewy and just says, I can do the same thing for GameStop. So we're starting to see the public markets that have handed riches to some of these e-commerce people saying, wait a minute, I don't have to go invest in startups. I could just go take 10% at GameStop on death's door and try and take what I learned at Chewy and reinvigorate the brand. So I think what you're starting to see, it just at a bigger scale than seed investing, is a lot of this newly minted millionaires, and I said centimillionaires from the internet, going back into the market and just, they don't want to start from scratch. So they're going to go turn around other companies. And I think because of Robinhood and fractionalized trading and all these things, you know, the art of like stock picking is kind of, and the fact that people feel that they can move these stocks and make a change. And at the same time, you know, these behemoths, like where everybody's been hiding out for the last 6-7 years, Netflix, Amazon, Google, which are not going away. They're just digesting years of gains and people are pulling their money out of these. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised for some of these, you know, the relative strength of Netflix, 35, like these could be.
They had a big run in the first half of the year, and then the past 6 months, they've just gone sideways.
Yeah, and in a best case scenario, they stay sideways. But they're, you know, you get a hiccup in the markets here, and people need some cash. They're coming out of these stocks fast.
Exactly. I mean, after this big move, it's kind of normal to consolidate for a while.
Right, but if these don't take the next leg higher, and there's a lot of red bars there over the last month and a half.
Yeah, but easily 10% pullback, so or so.
Yeah. So anyways, so I think it's really interesting, and I can't tell if it's just pure speculation, but the small caps.
If there is a correction, Amazon and Netflix will get hit harder than the rest of the market, because I think it will be the opposite, because they're kind of acting as defensive stocks right now, so they will kind of rise and outperform if there is a market correction, I think, because
Depends
money,
what kind of correction. If we're in this kind of correction, it would be nice to see them.
10-50% pullback, which is just kind of normal to see every year.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I don't know, but it seems like small caps led by energy and banks.
Well,
We'll
small
see.
caps have officially more than doubled in 9 months since their March lows, which is
But go
insane.
back to the monthly.
We haven't seen that since 2009 when it took them 15 months to double. Like this time, it's a lot faster.
And that's super interesting. So once they doubled, then they doubled again over the next 3-4
Yeah,
years.
they had like a tight pullback first, here about 15-20% pullback, and after that, obviously much slower pace of.
And that was out of the 08. Interesting. Yeah. I just think something's going on. There's a big change of trend. Obviously, the semiconductors continue to destroy tech on a relative basis.
Super strong trend. One of the strong trends, probably the only tech
that can't continue, but
it has done well post the election.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm getting. Listen, it's fun to be long. The FANG stocks have slowed down, well, basically stopped, and they're going down. The small caps are being led by banks, retail, broken energy stocks.
Even energy has been super strong lately.
Yeah, even Exxon.
Yeah.
Exxon's gone from the low 30s to
XOM. And look at what happened in 3D printing. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, DDD 3D printing, they announced like they raised their guidance and they kind of tripled in like 2 days, and the entire 3D printing industry has been on fire. I think that the ARK funds, they have that ETF print.
Kathy's been pushing those. I mean, she has so much capital. So, if she pulls money out of Tesla, which people have said she's been doing and putting it into space.
Because she can own more than 10% of the stock in each fund. So that's why she has to sell. If the stock keeps going up, she has to sell. Yeah. So it's under 10%.
Well, but then again, those are big positions that she's unloading. And then when she takes money out of Tesla and puts it into 3D printing, she can double a stock just on her buys. So you're seeing, like I said, some of the effects of stock picking, not index. Like you're seeing some of the effects is what I was trying to say.
The market of stocks, as you said, there've been quite a few stocks that have had failed breakouts and are not acting as well as some of the hot areas of the markets, and definitely some signs of distribution. And I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think the pullbacks would continue to be buying opportunities. But so far, you just need to be a good stock picker, and you just need to rotate where the action is. And it seems every week it changes.
Is there any breakouts that stood out to you?
Last week was all about cannabis. I don't know if there will be a continuation because some of those stocks had a 50% move in a week. So probably not. They'll need to kind of consolidate or pull back. Biotech has been strong as well. I mean, also some of the construction stocks are kind of starting to set up. If you pull back the home builders, HSB is kind of setting up for a breakout, and then some of the stocks in that group are kind of starting to set up fast. Farta, probably.
Manufacturers pipes. So these are some boring ones. What's that look like on a weekly, Ivan? What's that look like?
Setting up. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. There's some good setups on some of the boring infrastructure. We talked about it last week, but yeah.
And at the same time, you have companies like Visa and MasterCard. I mean, they're acting like crypto is going to change the way people pay. That's how weak they are.
I mean, it's so small relative. Bitcoin's market cap passed Visa. Yeah. But Visa makes money from every transaction that goes on. So it's like a different thing altogether. I'm not giving up on Visa and MasterCard yet. These are great businesses. And it's a long, but yes, Visa's kind of had
Alibaba
a bad
announced
year.
that they, in partnership with the biggest Chinese car maker, they're going to make their own
Yeah.
electric vehicle. So they gapped up kind of. Plus what the U.S. government said that they're not going to be blacklisted. So let's see if they
Yeah,
start
Tencent is probably one of the stronger, I own Baba and Tencent, but Tencent kind of snuck back.
Yeah, but they don't have electric vehicle yet, so.
No, but they have gaming, and gaming is where I'll end it today. Again, like there's a lot of ideas out there. I'm just, the speculation is a little too hot for me, and I don't like the action in the FANGs, and I'm not a small cap. You don't have the time to peruse all these small caps. I think owning the index has been fine, right? Like, for people owning, the pullbacks on the index, that's been the way to go. But the gaming is what's interesting me. One stock that I own, Activision, just looks really interesting if it can just, break out to new highs here. But the gaming looks strong. Playtika went public. You've got Roblox going public.
There's some hot action in the space for sure.
Yeah, a lot of platforms being built. The mobile gaming market is just continuing to explode. So you can see it's like, as frothy as it is around penny stocks and a little bit of SPACs, I feel like seasonally, we should get some kind of pullback here. But I don't see any kind of like major markets digesting a lot of bad news. It feels like a lot of the pressure of like, Ivan, you notice this is just like, I saw Washington Post. I didn't read it. I saw the news that like misinformation posts are down 73% since they kicked off Trump. Okay, so they cut that in half and say it was 40%. That is a huge, considering how much time people spend online, that's a huge amount of like stress removed from at least half the country. Maybe half the country is more pissed, but like half the country, and especially a lot of wealthy people, are just happier because the stress levels have come down. But you haven't seen it in the VIX. The VIX is kind of rising a little bit, so it's like an interesting.
As the S&P is pulling back a little bit. Bull markets correct through sector rotation, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar, like the S&P having like a tiny 5 to 8% pullback.
Wouldn't surprise me, because like utilities kind of like finding a bottom. You've got drug stocks are kind of going higher. Some of the defensive stocks are starting to show some strength.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was saying some of the defensive sectors are starting to like find a bottom and show some strength. So, right, you said, wouldn't surprise me to just see some kind of correction here. But what do I know?
Basically this week with Netflix and a bunch of banks. And typically, during the first like 4 or 5 weeks of earnings season, there are like a lot of companies reports, and we see a lot of volatility. Usually that period of the market, often leads to, pullbacks. The market kind of usually waits for the major reports to be out of the way, and then it resumes its uptrend. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more volatility in the next 4 to 5 weeks as we see so many new earnings reports. And that's
where is the software stocks, IGV? It feels like they've had
a pullback, but nothing that bad. Nothing that bad.
Like a lot of these things can just resolve higher again, but I mean, I don't know where all the fresh money keeps coming from. I think, like you said, I would expect some rotation. It feels like defensive stocks have a little bit of a bid. Obviously, the break. Goldman's got earnings, but like, look at that chart. I'm like, yeah, Zscaler, like security looks. I look at Goldman Sachs and I'm like, go look at that on a monthly, and I'm like, you cannot find a better breakout than that. As much as I can't pull the trigger. I mean, I'm mad at myself, but that can go much, much higher. You know, no one expecting Goldman. You know what I mean?
There's so many stocks that, you know, a lot to choose from. They
Yeah,
have
there's a
8,000
lot
stocks,
to choose from. And I'm just
50,000
saying, like,
stocks.
as frothy as it is out there in many ways, there's just a lot of strength in like some big companies and a lot of wealth in bigger names that people are not just going to pull out of the market.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what was that? DoorDash pulled back finally?
All of those, you know, recent ETF that had, you know, huge runs, you know, if you want to short, you know, I would pay attention to those because now they're starting to.
Where's Airbnb and Snowflake?
Airbnb, I mean, all of them will kind of hit on Friday. Names, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some good short term.
I'd see low. If I saw low 200s in Snowflake, I'd probably just put it on the sheets. That company is just.
Well, that would be new all time. So why not?
Yeah. Okay, buddy. Have a great week.
Thank you.